Dispense Times, and I have the honor to have Ben Coakley with Waypoint Strategic Advisors with me today. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet, you bet. Hopefully, you're surviving the southern cool weather that's pushing through.
Yeah, I think I saw -3 this morning. It was -9 yesterday morning. So we're definitely we're trending upwards.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Here in Alabama, we had actually snowflakes yesterday, and it's so that's a rarity, but it's certainly nice to see. But they shut down all the schools based on snowflakes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, cool. Well, hey, I wanted let's go ahead and just jump into the meat of it.
Yeah.
Waypoint Strategic Advisors. Can you
hmm
tell us a little bit about your company?
yeah. So appreciate again, you guys. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. The Our company, the official Waypoint company, was founded in 2010, and it was formed as a independent registered investment advisor. We focused on wealth management, 401ks, and things like that. We at that point we kind of had the majority of our business was not pharmacy related. Now it's pharmacy related stuff. But I want to go back further. I want to go back to 1975 when my father founded Richard E. Coakley and Associates, because that's the thing that ultimately became the Waypoint company. So 1975, my dad was an insurance agent. He sold life insurance, loves life insurance, still talks about life insurance all the time. I tell everybody, if you have insomnia, just engage my dad in a conversation about life insurance, and it'll put you to sleep. And no, but he loves life insurance. Sold it for his whole life. It provided me, my brother, a wonderful life growing up. We got to go to college and all these wonderful things. And so 2003 is when I made the decision I wanted to come in and join the company. And Waypoint Strategic Advisors, at that point, we were operating, there were two independent RIAs. It's funny, financial strategic decisions and strategic financial decisions. Don't ask me how that worked out, but those are the names of the two independent companies working together. We were like sister companies. In 2010, we decided to merge this whole thing under one umbrella, and that's where Waypoint Strategic Advisors came from. There were some economies of scale that it helped us accomplish. We were duplicating expenses. We could, only pay one airs and emissions bill, things like that. So it really made sense financially at that point to do that. Through that, ultimately, that's where Waypoint RX, which is our pharmacy division, the pharmacy insurance group, and all these different things were born from that all the way back to 1975. So we're celebrating our 50th year, actually really being in business this year.
Congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm
Thank you.
curious. Yeah. Yeah. So, what made you guys make the decision to zero in or make pharmacies or part of your target?
Yeah, that's a great question. My father grew up in a small town in Western Illinois, industry, and right near Macomb, Illinois. If you know where that is, you will know that it's very very rural out there. A lot of a lot of farms, and two farm towns. So he had a natural affinity of working in small communities. And when you're in the life insurance industry, everybody wants to go to the big cities, is where the money is concentrated, because that's how they train you. So my dad was working out of Charleston, South Carolina, and he would travel up the road to all these little small towns. And he'd go in and he'd work with the hardware store owner, the farmer, the car dealer, and independent pharmacy. So fast forward 2023, it actually this whole thing started when I came in. I got in a really serious car wreck, driving to work one day, and I had an hour commute both ways, and I got rear-ended at full speed. I was dead stop. I got rear-ended at full speed. I don't know if the guy passed out. We don't know what happened, but it scared me enough to realize, like, you know what? Okay, now's the right time. I don't want to do this anymore. So that's when I called my dad, and they had to tow my car, and I had to get a ride to work, and still went to work after all that, believe it or not. And then I called my dad and said, I'm ready. And he said, okay, you need to do two things. You need to become a certified financial planner professional, and then you need to rewrite our business plan. So through the process of rewriting our business plan, which, by the way, being a 23-year-old kid, writing a business plan, I was like, this would be nothing. This would be easy. Turns out it was anything but easy. There was a lot goes into writing a business plan. I know that. So when I talk to young people about writing their business plan, I'm like, hey, you need to block out some serious time because it's going to be some effort to build one of these things out. So I went from approximately, March of 2020, 2003, excuse me, until late 2003, rewriting our business plan and getting my certified financial planner certification. Through the process of writing that business plan, we uncovered like 8 or 9 of our top 20 relationships for independent pharmacies. So not really knowing what that meant other than we liked them. They did very well at that point where they could afford to pay us what we needed to get paid. Um, didn't know much other than that. I didn't know much about it. So I picked up the phone, called another insurance agent that we know, and named Bobby. I said, Bobby, hey, need some help. I think we've got a target market here, but I have no idea how to go about doing it. He said, well, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Curtis Verstrate. And so he introduced me to Curtis. My father and I called Curtis, and we went through Curtis's coaching program. And through that coaching program, we really discovered that pharmacy would be a really good fit to build a target market around. So that's how it was born. I would love to say that it was strategic, and we one day had this epiphany and was like, hey, we're going to go work with pharmacies. Nope, didn't happen. It just so happened that my father had these relationships. One of our pharmacy owners, a gentleman named Julian Reynolds, who is near and dear. I consider him the patriarch of our pharmacy business. He's the gentleman who started this whole thing. Physically wrote handwritten notes. He loved my dad so much that what my dad did for him and his family. He wrote handwritten notes to every pharmacy owner in South Carolina saying you need to do business with Ben and his father Rick. And that's how this whole thing was born. And fast forward 20 plus years later, we're in all 50 states now. It's been an amazing journey.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always great to hear where they start and then where they go. And I've known you, Ben, for probably going on close to a year and a half, 2 years. Just really, I admire and appreciate your energy. So I know that's reflected in your business. And
Absolutely.
So I'm not surprised at the age of 23 that you can write a business plan.
Well, that I missed an entire football season because on Saturdays and Sundays, I was in the library working on a business plan, and I will tell you to miss one football season, it was well worth it. I can promise you that.
Well, good, good. Well, can you tell us about Every Dollar Counts?
Yeah.
Where the inspiration came from?
Yeah. It's no surprise out there that we are in a fight for our very existence in the pharmacy world, and I do own an independent pharmacy. I do own one, so just FYI, a lot of people don't know that. I don't really broadcast it to the world, but my brother and I do own an independent, so we understand from really what's going on in the industry, and obviously working with pharmacies, we've seen the struggles and the challenges that have come into this industry over the past 20 plus years. But we felt like owning a pharmacy would bring some credibility to what we're doing, so we can kind of see from the inside what's going on. And so what we've learned is that as the reimbursements have gotten lower and lower and lower, we've had to look for other ways to drive money to cash flow to stay in business, or to the bottom line to stay in business. So Every Dollar Counts was just born out of, I would talk to somebody and they'd be like, hey, I saved so much money on my credit card processing fees. Well, how'd you do that? Okay, well, I did it this way. Okay, can you get me in touch with those people? Because I want to bring that to other pharmacies. And then it was like, hey, I helped somebody save $5,000 a year on their general commercial liability, or their pharmacist professional liability insurance. Okay, how'd you do it? Show me who you did it with, and then I want to get in touch with them so I can see if I can bring that through that journey. We've just found 5 or 6 ways that we can help improve cash flow for pharmacies, because right now every dollar counts. Every dollar counts in our fight for our right to exist in this world. And the big thing that concerns me is I do believe we're going to win the war ultimately against health insurance companies and PBM industry. I do believe we are. The biggest fear I have is how many of us are going to be around, when the dust finally settles. Because I believe they've made it now a war of attrition. It's a war of survival. In order to survive, we've got to look at every line item and say, if we can save money here and here and here, that adds up to money, to cash flow, and into the bottom line to stay in the fight. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. And that's exactly the same thing that we hear from pharmacies all across the country as we speak to them daily. Is it's the same struggles, and it's very complicated. But one thing you said, and I do agree with you 100%, and I think that's why we're all here, is at the end of the day, the value and the benefit of independent pharmacies will survive and will excel. We just got to get to that point. We got to get over that hump. And so that's why I think programs like Every Dollar Counts is so crucial at this time.
I agree. We're working on a way to deliver the Every Dollar Counts campaign to every pharmacy across America. Hopefully we'll have that built out by the summer, and where everybody can go in and experience all these different savings. And that's what's really important for us is we've been really working on delivery vehicles and how we distribute all these programs across America, because we need to get these in the hands of as many independent pharmacies as possible.
Yeah. Well, I do congratulate you on that, and
Thank you.
we are uh, very optimistic. If you've got your hands on it, it's going to be successful. And it's going to be helping others. So let's turn to the Medicare agency piece of it. Why is starting a Medicare agency such a crucial opportunity for independent pharmacies at this time?
Well, yeah. So this is our most popular program right now. This has kept us busy the last 4 years, and I'm super proud of my team. Everybody who's gotten involved. We're onboarding somebody new right now to come in and help with certain parts of what we're doing. So it's been a tremendous journey from April 1st of 2021 when we started the program. I think the big thing is there's multiple ways you can make money through this system. That's what's really cool is if we do it the right way and we market it compliantly, we're able to be the agent. I say somebody affiliated with the pharmacy can be the agent and actually sell the insurance. And I know a lot of pharmacies have been helping patients choose Part D plans for a long time for free. Now you can be compensated the commissions that are available on those plans. Not only that, though, you can help them with Medicare supplements and with Medicare Advantage. So I know Medicare Advantage has a bad name in the marketplace, but when you come to our training, which we offer, you will see that it is very applicable in certain situations for certain patients. Medicare Advantage really works well for them, and we have a lot of people who come in who have a negative view or perspective of Medicare Advantage, and they leave with a completely different perspective of it, because it's not the same Medicare Advantage that was started 15 years ago. Things have changed a lot with it. But yeah, so it's really crucial. So you can get the commissions on the products, you can create a new job, you can actually get technicians licensed, you can actually start to reward them and actually start getting them pay raises in this industry. There haven't been a lot of pay raises because how can you promise pay raises, Jason, to somebody when you don't even know what you're going to get paid next year? I can't promise a 10% pay raise across the board when
Yeah.
I don't even know what my contract's going to be next year. Does that make sense? It's bizarre. We're living in bizarro world in this industry, and so you're able to if you get them licensed, they're able to start participating and actually making more money. We have seen that in the pharmacies across the country. We've seen technicians, they've called us and say, thank you. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. I never thought I'd be an insurance agent, but you know what? If that's what it takes, I'm willing to do that for my family. So it's a wonderful thing. Second way is we can positively impact payer mix. Okay. We can, and the way we can do that is we have to do what's right for the patient first. Okay. But if there are two plans or three plans that are similarly priced, and let's say the one in the middle is a little bit higher price than the cheapest one, but it's the one that's going to keep the drugstore open. We can have that conversation and be like, hey, it's going to be $10 more a month for $120. And wouldn't you rather go to your independent than get shipped to mail order or go to the big box store around the corner? Most patients are going to say yes to that. They're willing to pay a little bit more to have that personal service, and that plan happens to be a better payer for the pharmacy. So we're able to do a whole bunch of really cool things. Keep the patients in the pharmacies, get the commissions, create new jobs, give techs pay raises, and positively influence payer mix to drive more money to the bottom line of the pharmacy. So it's a win-win-win-win across the board for everybody.
So what are, I mean, is it a heavy lift for the pharmacies, or what are the first steps that a pharmacy needs to take?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in you do the hardest stuff first. You live the hard, easy life, not the easy, hard life. Get the hard stuff done first, and a lot easier if you do that stuff. Get that out of the way, right? Well, fortunately, in this process, the hardest step of the process is step one, which is getting your license. Okay, um, you have to study. It's the only part of the process I really can't help with because I can't go sit in that room and take your test for you. Some of the other things we're happy to help when necessary. But so the lift it isn't as heavy as you would think, but I do think some people have made it heavier than it really is, if that makes sense. Like if I say something, hey, give me 15 to 20 hours of work and you're going to make an extra $100,000 next year. Most people would say that's not a heavy lift. Okay. So what we have done is we have really kind of reverse engineered that process to find where the kind of the bottlenecks are in the process and really throw resources at those areas. And we've been able to take this process. The industry average is 6 to 9 months, and we can get somebody up, licensed, contracted, certified in 60 days.
Wow.
So yeah, again, that takes a commitment from the other person to do the work. We had one person go through the entire process in 2 weeks, just to tell you. They were motivated, and they're one of our leading agents, and we knew that because when he said I'm gonna get it done in 2 weeks, we were like, okay, and he got it done in 2 weeks. So it can 100% happen. Um, and the lift is as heavy as people want to make it. If they want to do the death by paper cuts, they almost say an hour a day for 30 days. I tell them I'll see you in 2 years when you're ready to go. But if you commit to it, commit to 2 to 3 hours a day for 2 weeks, you'll get through it. And it is hard. We have this saying when you come to our training, we never said it would be easy. We only said it would be worth it.
Other than the consideration that it might be a heavy lift, or
Yeah,
you might, I mean, as you know, Ben, most of these pharmacies or pharmacy owners are really, obviously, they're not just underpaid, but they're overworked.
sure,
So
sure.
I would assume that one of the big misconception is it's going to be time consuming. Are there any other misconceptions that?
It does take time. That's really not it does take time. We're going to be asking for 20 hours. I mean that's what it takes. Licensed, contracted, certified. Now, Jason, what we have figured out, this really important. What we have figured out is people are really busy, but then I said, tell me what you're doing. And they've got 13 projects going on at the same time because in this, when you get to the point, and I think this is just where we are in the industry, when you're in survival mode, like a lot of them are, you get to the point where any idea that comes your way, man, that's a great idea, and then you do it. Well, then a month later, somebody brings a new. You go to another trade show, another conference, and someone's got another great idea. You do that. Next thing you know, you got 10, 12, 13 things going on because you're throwing anything at the wall that you think is going to stick. And of course, you don't have time because your bandwidth is eaten up with things that aren't working. Then you call somebody and you're really frustrated at them. So what we say is hey, if you really are interested in thinking about this, we're going to look at it and say, what's going on in your world right now? Is that working? No, then stop. then this stop it. Well, I've already paid money for it. Okay, this is my favorite. And I'm like, do you know what sunk cost bias is? And I explained sunk cost bias. It's where you allow that to stop you from moving forward with a real idea that's actually going to work, because you're so stuck on, I don't want to lose money on that. Sometimes you got to just pull the plug and say, listen, I learned from it. I hate that it didn't work. It wasn't the right time, but I'm going to move on to something that's really going to work. So it does seem like a heavy lift, and pharmacists are saying it just, there's too much going on. But when I ask them, a lot of times it's just because they've got so many things they're trying to make work at the same time, and they've never really actually prioritized those things. Jason, I've had people who have told me, I got these and these and these. And I'm like, do that one first. Get that one done, and then we'll look at the insurance. Let's look at the insurance thing in 6 months, maybe 9 months down the road. Get that one fully going. Particularly the long-term care at home. Long-term care at home with GeriMed. Get that one done, because that one's going to drive money to your bottom line right now. I mean, that's like no brainer. Get that one done. Stop doing everything else and focus on all your attention, time, and money on that one. And then in 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, when you got some breathing room, then let's look at doing the insurance thing. So it really just comes down to, I think they think it's such a heavy lift because they've got so many different things going on, because that's where we are in the industry.
Yeah. And I think that's true with anything. Being an entrepreneur, myself, there's so many projects I would have going on at one time. And usually I'd have one thing fund 7 different things. But I just cut like 5 of those 7 things, I would have saved myself, not just money, but just so much time. But it's
Exactly.
You sometimes, like you say, you just got to cut bait and say, hey, this is not going to produce fruit for us.
Exactly. And when you get to that point, just cut it and move on. Entrepreneurs, firstly, pharmacy owners are very amiable. So they're very susceptible to somebody coming in and convincing them it's a really good idea. And I've seen that happen. And someone's like, I don't even know why I even did that. And I'm like, because somebody sold you on it, right? Somebody really sold you this was a good idea. And you believed them, you trusted them. And turns out maybe it wasn't the right thing for you. Stuff like that. I mean, and if you really are entrepreneurial, I tell everybody, one of the biggest things you got to avoid is, and this happens to me, I have to really work on this, and I have to be guarded and vigilant against this, that every idea is a great idea, right? You got to be very vigilant, because every idea is not a great idea, or it could be a great idea, but it's not the right time to implement that idea. So you really have to start to manage these things. So one of the things that we do in our program is we really try to find out what's going on in their world, and then help them prioritize those things, and then help them understand maybe what needs to be cut out of what they're doing, so they can focus on other things.
Gotcha. So what are the regulations or compliance factors that a pharmacy owner should consider or be aware of in getting this started with Medicare agencies?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, for the longest time, we have created maybe an urban myth that we can't do this. Okay, so the number one thing that holds people back from doing this is they have been told they can't, or in their mind for some reason they've made up they can't. When you live in a world where you're told no for everything you try to do, and you've got the PBMs that are the heavy foot of the PBM on your neck all the time, it can lead to the mentality that, hey, I can't do something. Well, the fact is when we started calling attorneys, we started calling insurance departments across the country, we're told, I see no reason why they can't do these things. So, however, we do want to follow some rules. Okay, we do want to follow some rules. When we do this, we want to make sure we keep entities separate. We don't want to market the insurance agency and the pharmacy together. We don't want to create a banner stand saying, hey, got the pharmacy and the agency. We don't want to do certain things like that. But through our coaching and through our program, we're going to give them the best practices on how to market your insurance agency through your pharmacy in a CMS compliant way.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Waypoint, you will. I mean, I know there's the work of the pharmacist or the individual that would be appointed to be certified.
Mm-hmm.
But Waypoint, you guys do walk with them through this entire process. And if there's questions, you guys can help. I mean,
Yeah, we've assigned a human being to every step of the process. Okay. You know, I use the analogy a lot of times. If you put me as, if you said, Ben, you're now a tech and you throw me in the pharmacy, it is going to be a disaster. Okay. Because I wouldn't know how to do, I wouldn't know the workflow. I wouldn't know the terminology, the lingo. It's all, we all different. I mean, I know enough because I've been around pharmacies, but it's different, you know, talking to a pharmacy owner about what's going, and then getting in one and actually working. So there's different language. It's a different language. You know, we give out our training, we get out a list of acronyms, and there are more acronyms in the insurance industry than there are in the pharmacy industry. And I never thought that'd be the case, but there really are. So it's just a different language and a different process. So we know a lot of pharmacy owners or people who are doing this don't really understand how that works. So we're gonna licensing, we've got somebody assigned to that. Training, we got somebody assigned to that. We've got contracting, certifications, we got everything all the way. And then at the you know, after you're done, you're ready to sell, we've got agent development solutions and people assigned to that too. So we've tried to really work on where the insurance industry has lacked in a lot of ways and throw resources at that. When I got in the insurance industry, you know, 2003, you know, I was given a phone book and they say, here, congratulations, here's a phone book, start calling, you know, start calling and setting up appointments. And, you know, it, it, it really, well, number one, it forced me to do things I didn't want to do. Okay. Which was good, for me. Believe it or not, it was good for me, even though I did want to do it. Looking back, I look back at it now and I'm like, thank goodness I had to go through that because I learned really what I don't want our agents to have to do. So yeah, we looked at the industry and we said, hey, if it's 6 to 9 months to get licensed, how do we get that done in 60 days? And it sounds crazy. Sounds crazy because I tell people in our industry, we get our people licensed in 60 days. They're making money. They start making money at day in that fourth month. That if they 60 days, that's 2 months. That third month, they sell 5 policies. They make money that fourth month. And people tell me that a lot of people don't even believe it's possible. But the fact is, we just looked at it and we said, where do we need to give the support that they're going to need through this process to make sure we get them through to where they're able to go out and make money with this?
since are the independent pharmacies, are they able to compete with the larger service providers?
Hey, well, they compete much better. Okay, we get a lot of fan mail from other agents who don't like us, and I say fan mail, not good fan mail. Okay, if you know what I mean. A lot of people don't like us. A lot of people don't like what we're doing. We have basically disrupted, you know, 100-year-old industry, and found a better way for patients to do this. And what makes it work, Jason, is the patients trust that pharmacy. They trust the pharmacy. Okay. And the pharmacy has, on average, we think it's about 1,000 Medicare beneficiaries coming into their drugstore. So if they trust you and you've got them coming in the door, you got 95% of the equation. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day that I've spent millions of dollars just trying to get pharmacy owners to trust me. Millions of dollars in marketing and different things that we've done. And they're walking in your door, and all you got to do is say, hey, listen, instead of buying from the guy down the street who you don't really know or trust, buy from us. And 90% of them are going to say, yeah, we'll buy from you. We'd rather buy from you. So the key is how do we create workflow? How do we create scalability in the model? And that's what we've been really focusing on the last 2 years, is how to take this and say, instead of going from working with 100 patients a year, being able to work with 400 or 500 patients a year. And we're on the verge of some really cool things that we feel are going to allow pharmacies to really accelerate their progress towards helping their patients with this.
I would imagine that's one of the other great benefits working with Waypoint is as things become more streamlined or more cutting edge. I mean, you guys are on top of that. You're going to stay on top of it.
We are always trying to innovate. always trying to find solutions to help these people do their jobs more effectively. This just for us, Jason, for us, it's we want to keep Medicare beneficiaries in an independent pharmacy. That's where they need to get care. My grandfather, God rest his soul, in 2012, he passed away, died in a nursing home. But what happened is he had to get his foot amputated. It was a World War II vet, man. This is unacceptable for America, for this to happen in the American healthcare system. Okay, he ends up getting his foot amputated because he's type 2 diabetic and had blood pressure, had high cholesterol, had congestive heart failure. And COPD. I mean, he was a mess. He was on a lot of meds, right? Well, through the process of going to all these specialists to get his foot amputated, when he finally came home after the procedure, he'd already seen, I don't know, 20 different doctors, right? Well, the final doctor sent his med list home. And my mom and my aunt called that into Express Scripts because for some reason, TRICARE got convinced by Express Scripts that we should put all of our greatest generation of people on mail order pharmacy, which makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. 86-year-old man trying to navigate 15 to 18 prescriptions. Tell me how that makes any sense. It doesn't. What happened is the blood pressure medicine wasn't even on the list. 2 weeks later, had a massive stroke, spent 2 weeks in ICU, 2 weeks in a skilled nursing home, and died.
Wow.
That's their vision of healthcare for our seniors. And what is that going to do to the cost, to the real cost of healthcare? This is why healthcare is going through the roof, because it's not personalized. It's not done at a local level, which is where healthcare should be delivered. Independent pharmacy is perfectly positioned to be able to provide a lot of those services, especially for our seniors. And so that's another one. It's one of the main reasons we do what we do. It's one of the main reasons we started the Pharmacy Insurance Group, is we wanted to help these patients stay in these independent pharmacies.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that about your grandfather,
Yeah.
but those types of stories you hear, not necessarily that tragic, but you do hear stories, and I even have a personal story of my son who was diagnosed. He was a healthy, very fit soccer player, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and fortunately, his pharmacist said, "You're not type 2, you're type 1. You need to go see an endocrinologist."
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
That could have saved my son's life. But that was an independent pharmacy looking at a script going, "You're a healthy, physically fit young man.
Yeah.
You need to go see an endocrinologist."
This doesn't make sense, right? There's something that's not making sense. You're healthy and you shouldn't. I don't think you're type 2. I think you might be type 1. That's amazing. I mean, that's what they're trained to do. If they have a relationship with somebody and they know you and you've been in there having conversations routinely about what's going on with your health, they know that. The other cost to that incident with my grandfather that a lot of people don't understand, or maybe if you've been through this, you definitely understand. But if you haven't, this is why you need to fight, you need to get out and advocate for these patients being allowed to come to an independent pharmacy. The guilt that my mom and my aunt lived with, knowing that they missed that. I mean, and it's not their job. They're not pharmacists. They're not paid to manage somebody's medication. I mean, it's my mom and my aunt. And I mean, I still believe my mom and my aunt live with the guilt of thinking that they somehow missed this and it contributed to the death of my grandfather. And that's an untold cost that a lot of people don't really think about when it comes to these types of situations. Hey, why didn't I get this? What could I have done? And I can tell you that is one of the worst things to see a loved one go through when they're questioning themselves about what they could have done, or if they could have done more on this when it wasn't even their responsibility. So that's another of the untold costs that happens with families when something like this happens.
Yeah, terrible tragedy.
It really was, and it's contributed to the fire that we have. It's one of our underlying reasons why we do what we do. And, I mean, every training I tell that story to every person that comes through our training. This is why we do what we do. And at the end, I mean, there's not a dry eye in the room because everybody's known somebody. It's amazing to me who's had an issue or something similar like this happen, and something got missed and this and because the insurance companies are doing certain things that just aren't right for people. And so that's the reason why we're fighting these injustices. And that's the reason we're at all these pharmacy days too, Jason. We're out there supporting independent pharmacies and trying to advocate for them, to keep them in the game, because our country needs independent pharmacy. We have a saying that strong families create strong communities create a strong United States, and the world needs a strong United States. That's one of our sayings. And I sound like a politician, but what makes strong families and communities is access to a local independent pharmacy. That's really what contributes to abundance for so many families and communities, and that's why we need them here.
Yeah, yeah, and that's great. And that's that was the story with my son. That's what made me such a strong believer that the independent pharmacy is the backbone of every single community.
It is.
You picture
Absolutely.
any Main Street America, your independent
100%.
got to be right there. Yeah, they're
Amen.
your
Amen to that.
gatekeeper.
Yep.
And talking about Express Scripts, and you look at some of Amazon, for instance, has a almost perfected system of delivering you or shipping to you something that you order, but oftentimes you get the wrong size, wrong color, and the delivery process. Sometimes your package ends up, down the road or your neighbor's mailbox or across town. So there's so much room for human error. I go into that independent pharmacy. The error is confined to the guy, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say guy, to the pharmacist that is behind the counter that sees me every week.
Yeah. 100%. And I would venture to say that if staffed appropriately, if they're able to, if they've got the finances to be staffed appropriately, that there will be less errors, yes, done through an independent pharmacy. Then they'll be done through Amazon delivering prescriptions to. I could only imagine. Could you imagine a 90-year-old person who gets the Amazon pharmacy package, opens it, not even realizing, not understanding that it wasn't meant for them, and it's a drug that they shouldn't take, and it ends up killing themselves or getting severely injured or hospitalized? Because that's not how this was designed to work. It's not. Healthcare was meant to be done locally, where people have a relationship with you, and trying to corporatize, or whatever the word is, and make this a process that's just like a transactional process is not. It's not going to end up well for the American healthcare system. I can tell you that, in my opinion.
So is right now a good time for pharmacies to be looking at becoming Medicare? Is right now the good time for them becoming a Medicare agency?
Yeah, I would say, Jason, I mean, 5 years ago would have been the best time, but today's the second best time, right? The thing is, under our current model, everything depends on that patient choosing the most appropriate plan for themselves. Okay. The days of taking a random selection of plans that other agents put your patients in and having enough that will come through that will generate enough money to keep you in the black, those days are really over. So what I tell people is, like, you have to take control and have influence over what plans those patients choose. Now, again, within reason. Sometimes you got to hold your nose and sell a plan that just doesn't work for the pharmacy, but it's the one the patient can afford, the only one the patient can afford. Okay. Lord knows you don't want to be having a patient telling you I can't eat because I got to pay my for my meds. You don't want to do that. So every once in a while you got to hold your nose and put them in a plan that just doesn't work for the pharmacy. But in a lot of cases, you're able to actually get them into a plan that works for the pharmacy. Under our current model, that is the number one determinant of success, is what plan that patient walks in with. If that's the case, then I better have some say over what plan that patient chooses. And that to me is it. So the answer is 100%. Every pharmacy who's listening to this should be doing this. Period. Or working with one of our agents, or there are good agents out there. They're not all bad. They don't all only care about money. The majority only care about money, but there are some good ones who will sit down and say, hey, tell me what plans are the best ones for you, and then really work their butt off on trying to get patients into those plans where applicable. But yeah, I mean, you have to be doing this. Or the simple fact is, last year, 10 of our clients called and said they were selling their pharmacy because they had too much of one particular pair. And they said, you were right. And I hate it when I hear this. I hate it because I don't want to be right. I want people to stay in business. But they were like, you were right. You told me that if I got too heavy on these payers, I'd be going out of business. And that's what happened. So the simple fact is, if you don't take control and influence your patients and what plans they choose, and you get the wrong payer mix, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And
Yeah.
and the problem we have is I can't do anything after annual enrollment. I can't do anything after January 1st. I can't. So if you don't, October 15th to December 7th, if you're not helping them pick the plans, the renewals, where they're going to choose the right plan that keeps them in your pharmacy and keeps your pharmacy solvent, there's nothing I can do after January 1st. So after December 7th, technically. But the point is that every pharmacy should have some influence, whether it's through your own agency, whether it's partnering with one of our agents who will actually work with them, find out what the best payers are. Again, it's got to be best for the patient first, and then if this works for the pharmacy, that's the bonus. And we're going to try to marry those two things. Is what we try to do, what our agents try to do. And if it's not one of our agents, find an agent out there who is willing to get in and work with you and try to keep these patients in the plans that are best for them and for the
Yeah.
pharmacy.
Yeah. Back to owning a pharmacy, what are some of the? I know we're kind of skipping around here, but
Yeah.
being a pharmacy owner yourself, what are some of the things or what are some of the trends that you see that could also help independent pharmacies?
Well, um, the there are some things happening right now. We're seeing some innovation, and I had a pharmacy owner call me the other day and said, "Why isn't innovation happening in our industry?" And I said, "Well, if you were an entrepreneur, would you go innovate in an industry that has 50% net profit margins on their businesses, or would you innovate in one that has 1% net profit margin?" He goes, "Oh, I get it." I said, "Yeah." I said, "As an entrepreneur, I'm going to spend time where there's going to be a bigger return on my investment of time to get something to the market. But if I'm going to spend all this money in R&D and get this to the marketplace, there better be somebody at the other end who can pay for it."
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with that being said, there has been some really cool things that have come out. One of the things we have discovered through this process is that a lot of people have they have a long-term care at home program, a combo med program that hasn't been fully implemented. I've talked to so many pharmacy owners over the past 6 months to a year who said, "Yeah, we have it. We just haven't fully rolled it out." My hope is that we will have a program here very soon, hopefully by the start of Q2, that will help pharmacies get those rolled out. And what happens with that is PBMs and insurance companies will reimburse more for those programs. And the theory is, or the belief is that there's going to be more in-home care being done because there's not enough beds in America to house all the old people who need long-term care. So those patients also tend to not be adherent with their meds because they don't come in and fill them. They don't come in and fill them. So the PBMs love to have, star ratings, right? They love to have on Medicare. They love the 5-star plans. If they go from 5-star to 4-star, they take a hit. But if they go from 4-star to 3-star, they're underwater. They start to lose money, from what I understand. So they want to keep, and part of that is adherence, making sure those patients are getting their meds. So if you're delivering to somebody who is homebound, you're packaging and delivering, and their meds synced, then they're potentially a good candidate for LTC at home, which the carriers in a lot of cases, the ones that recognize LTC at home, will reimburse more for that. Will pay you more money to take care of that patient because they don't want to lose 5-star status or 4-star status. So there are things there's also other things coming out inside of long-term care, not long-term care, but Medicare Advantage plans that are going to make more dollars available for pharmacies to participate. Right now, some of that stuff is still kind of being rolled out, and we're monitoring it. But as soon as it's monitored, and the way we see the world, Jason, is we just talked about that pharmacies don't have a lot of capacity, right? But guess who does have a lot of capacity? A lot of times insurance agents have capacity. So we've been really focused in on training the agents to understand long-term care at home, understand these different solutions. So when they're working with a patient and they say, you're a great prospect for this program, we're going to put you in a plan that's going to give you some certain extra things, but also one that pays the pharmacy more, that recognizes long-term care at home. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
makes perfect sense.
the agents really, we're going to marry their understanding of the healthcare and what is available with what the patient needs, marry those two things together to go find the best plan for that person and for the pharmacy. It's marrying the thing. Our new tagline is where care meets coverage, right? Find out where care is needed, where it needs to be delivered, what the pharmacy can get paid for through that, and then find that plan that will do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes perfect sense, Ben. Thinking about I know we talked a little bit earlier about the regulatory side. So looking at it from a 30,000 foot bird's eye view, we hear a lot about the possibility of changes, especially with PBMs. A lot of people are screaming at the top of their lungs. Do you guys see anything upcoming that's going to have any regulatory impact or going to have any shifts in how PBMs operate? Is there any promising thing that we see
Yeah,
coming?
yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on at state level, and there's a couple of things at the national level. I I do think we're starting to make some progress in a lot of areas. The one that I'm kind of paying attention to right now is there's a bill HB 1150 out of Arkansas, House Bill 1150, and essentially it's going to basically say that any PBM that owns a pharmacy is not going to be able to license their pharmacy in the state they operate where they operate the PBM. So if they want to operate a PBM in Arkansas, they're not going to be able to get their mail order pharmacy licensed in Arkansas. So basically, they're not going to be able to steer people to their own pharmacy, which is a massive deal. I mean, if they can get that through, that's game changing stuff. Because then I mean that basically would eliminate the steering of patients, and it's really, I mean, they had some statistics on it. It's crazy what PBMs pay their own pharmacy versus what they pay independents. It's ridiculous, and what it's costing in Medicare, what it's costing the taxpayer, excuse me, it's insane. It's an insane more amount of money, that it's costing the taxpayer. And it's happening in corporate plans, commercial plans. It's happening in Medicaid. The PBMs are reimbursing their pharmacies more. So if you prohibit the pharmacy from even getting a license to operate, then we do believe a lot of those problems will come to an end. So I'm looking at that one. It's HB 1150 from Arkansas, and then the Pharmacist Fight Back bill that's up in DC. I still think that we were really close at getting some stuff done at the end of last year, and what was it, they were trying to extend the government. I forgot what they call those bills, but they were able to. The PCMA, the PBM lobby was able to get some of that stuff removed before they passed that. So we're close. We're really close to being able to get something with some real teeth. I believe. Again, anything, as like anything else, when it comes to laws, it just takes a long time. It takes a long time. We changed administrations. They've got to get the House. The House is in Republicans' hands by slim. The Senate switched. The Senate switched from the Democrats holding it to the Republicans. That's all new committee chairs. I mean, so everything has to be redone, and it just takes a long time. My hope, though, is that there's been enough light, shined on these different entities and how they're ripping off, especially a lot of the government programs. That a lot of people are really looking at this saying we've got to do something about this. That's my hope.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that bill in Arkansas sounds real promising. It just takes one state, that one proof source, and then
It does. It does. It takes one to, and people look to Arkansas. I was down there at their pharmacy legislative day with a lot of my friends, a lot of my clients down there, and talking about that law. And a lot of people look to Arkansas. Arkansas is they're on the tip of the spear when it comes to trying to find ways to combat, the PBM industry. So we get that through, that hopefully that'll trigger a domino. Maybe that will start to spread state by state by state. And then we can literally just say, hey, listen, if you want to operate a pharmacy, then you've got to separate it out. It can't be owned by the PBM. Sell it off and let somebody else run the pharmacy, and you can run your PBM, which would be great.
Yeah, and the way it should be.
It should be. Absolutely. One funny story about that. I got in a debate with a lady who worked for Caremark, and she said, do you think PBMs are unethical? And I said, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but I said, the one thing that I do think is unethical is PBMs owning a pharmacy. And I said that, in my opinion, crosses the line because there's so many different ways to abuse that. And and she tried to tell me that they keep the pharmacy and the PBM separate. They don't share information. And I'm like, yeah, I think I called her Pinocchio one time because she wasn't telling me the truth. And I'm like, nobody's going to believe that. Nobody believes you. And I said, you can scream to you blue in the face, but nobody believes you're not sharing information. And then it came out, a couple years later that Caremark was reimbursing CVS like 1,000, 2,000% higher what they were reimbursing the independents. So we knew that was going on. We know what's going on. The great news is we know it's going on now, and a lot of other people know what's going on. So, but I think we're going to get some real stuff done, Jason. That's my hope.
Yeah. Well, I'm optimistic now more than ever, and you just have to keep up with the pace. And again, I'm excited about the bill in Arkansas. I know we're running close to an hour, and I really do appreciate your time,
Absolutely.
Ben. I wanted to see if you could share a success story of a pharmacy that became a Medicare agency.
Yeah. We're very thankful for our early adopters because they're the ones who kind of took that leap. And we have one in particular, and he got himself, his wife, and two technicians licensed. And I haven't got the numbers for this annual enrollment, but 2 annual enrollments ago, he posted on Facebook that they saved their patients like $490 something thousand in drug cost. And it's unbelievable. We were actually trying to figure out the economic impact on his little community. And it's in the millions of dollars. The amount of dollars that because what people don't realize is when I pay somebody $1, it just doesn't sit there. They then go buy something from somebody, then they go buy something from somebody. So $495,000 could be $3 million of economic input in a little community. And that's quite a few jobs you can create with that. And so I asked him, how did he do it? Well, he said, well, Ben, we just know things as a pharmacy that a normal agent's not going to know, which is why this makes sense for patients. They know that if there's a copay through an insurance plan for a certain drug, and then the cash price is different, lower than that copay, we can just carve that out and do a cash price, and that saves that patient real money. So they're just things like that happen every day in this model that are leading to pharmacies saving patients thousands and thousands of dollars. And as I said, it's a win for the pharmacy a lot of ways because we can influence payer mix. It's a win for the patient because the patient gets to stay in the drugstore that they want to go to. The agents, which are sometimes technicians, sometimes owners, are making money, that we're creating jobs through that. Okay, we make a little bit of money in addition to what everybody else makes, so we actually win a little bit too. And then all these dollars stay local. They stay in these communities and create tremendous abundance and prosperity for everybody involved. The only people who lose in this situation are the agents out there who have consistently shown that all they care about is how much money goes into their pocket. They don't care where their people get access to healthcare. And Jason, so we are literally transforming the way insurance is done across this country. And I think that's what one of the things we're most proud of is we're bringing back ethical insurance agents committed to the long-term success of the patients that they serve. And that to me is why this whole thing works.
Makes perfect sense. And that's very interesting on the ripple effect of the savings in the community as well. I mean, that's absolutely
tremendous abundance, Jason. Tremendous jobs being created. We had one group, we had one town, and through the money that they put in, we're able to add an extra police officer. Think about that for a little town, an extra police officer. And it's not like crime was bad, anyways, but I mean, it just made their community safer because there was real dollars to bring in a new police officer. Those are things that we're seeing. This we believe that I call it generational theft disguised as healthcare. That's what I really believe is going on is they are literally stealing and robbing from families and communities in order to pad the pockets of these shareholders. And I know that they have to make money. I'm not anti-capitalism. I'm not. What I am, though, is I'm anti-capitalism where it hurts somebody, where somebody is harmed on the other end. I believe you can make money and do the right thing at the same time. Those things are not mutually exclusive. And so that's what we're doing is we're bringing back a way to where everybody wins. And that to me is one of the most amazing things that we've discovered about what we're doing.
And I think that's the exact mindset of your everyday pharmacist or pharmacy owner.
Sure.
That's their mindset. They want to help people. They care more about helping the patient than anything. That's obviously very clear. So
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So where do if pharmacy owners are interested in every dollar counts and want to learn more about Waypoint Strategic Advisors, what do they need to go? Who do they need to contact?
Yeah. First thing, you can go to waypointus.com. Okay. And when you go there, it'll say, are you a pharmacy owner or do you want to go to our wealth management side? Just click pharmacy owner. That'll take you into all of our solutions. If you want the Medicare solution specifically, you can go to rxinsurancegroup.com. And then if you want to learn more about all the Every Dollar Counts solutions, you can go to everydollarcountsrx.com, and that will route you to that. So, but that's where you go. And if you have a personal question or you want to reach out to me, my email, ben@waypointus.com. That's WAYPOINTUS.com. Or you can shoot me a text or call me at 843-810-3983. I do ask if you're going to call me, just text me before. Let me know who you are and what you're going to be calling about, so I don't send you to voicemail like I do a lot of numbers I don't recognize. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Reach out to anybody on my team. We're here to help. We really want you to thrive. We really want every pharmacy owner to thrive, every pharmacy to thrive, because if we have thriving pharmacies, we have thriving families, thriving communities, and then ultimately a thriving United States. And we do really believe the world is better when the United States is thriving.
Absolutely. Ben Coakley with Waypoint Strategic Advisors. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute honor. And again, I love your energy and your passion, man. And we just got to keep fighting.
Keep fighting, keep the fight. Stay, if you haven't read, go read the speech by Teddy Roosevelt, "The Man in the Arena." He wrote it in 1910, I believe, so it wasn't politically correct. But "The Man in the Arena," and that will explain everything why we do what we do, because we're so honored to be in the arena side by side with pharmacy owners fighting this fight.
Right on, man. Right on. Thank you. Thanks,
Absolutely,
Ben.
thank you.